This is the Bible of the electrogenic cell. It's not just the best book ever written on the subject, it's the only book ever written on this subject. Brought to you by supporters of Christ. Melody first diabetes. Nah, we not. Yo, I appreciate y'all for jumping in here. I'm just trying something. I'm trying to see something. I'm trying to see how to get these views to go up. What is this? Rock, what is you doing? Okay. Okay, nope, that's not working. Okay, that did not work. What is this? No. No. Okay, yep, that is not working. Okay, there we go. No. Delete this. Why is it not working? A network change was detected. What the hell is this? Yo, that noise sound crazy. Yo, the noise sound crazy. From the other end, I just listened to the YouTube live. So what I'm trying to do is put the actual YouTube link onto the video. I mean, onto Twitter. Since we getting people listening in from Twitter, now we have an average, say for instance, we just do our normal regular thing. we might have like 30 or 40 people on YouTube, and we might have the same number of people on Twitter. But the views don't show up on YouTube. So what I'm trying to do is, instead of going live, like StreamYard allows, I'm just explaining this to y'all because y'all in here. I don't want y'all to think I'm crazy. No. I normally go live on both, but I'm saying the views from Twitter don't count onto YouTube. They only count on Twitter. I want the views to count on YouTube instead of Twitter. Yeah. So StreamYard allows you to go live on multiple platforms. But when you do that, because you're streaming from StreamYard onto those platforms, the views go onto those individual platforms. So if I'm streaming from StreamYard onto YouTube and Twitter, the people who watch on YouTube, those views account for YouTube. The people who count on Twitter, those views account on Twitter. I want all the views to count on YouTube. So if I can get the link to just work on Twitter, wait, go to my profile. Boom. Blood clot boy, we got it. Okay, this is what I got to do from now on. This is what I got. And it's working. Okay, but now, okay, let me turn this off. This trolling. I'm trolling. I'm trolling me. Oh, Paul got a new profile pic. What your profile pic is, Paul? Push up P. Yo, I mean, put the push ups on the. But you should have changed your profile name to go with the pic. Push up P. The Food Basics, yeah, the Food Basics book is crazy. Listen, eventually we're gonna wind up going through all of those older books like meticulously. We're gonna wind up spending a lot of time going through all of the older books meticulously. We're gonna go back. The Black's Anatomy course is gonna force us to go back through all of the other books. The Black's Anatomy course is gonna force us to go back through all the other books. But using the Black's Anatomy course as a precursor to go through all of the other books is going to give everybody a different lens, especially for the people that have been studying. Because now, for instance, just a prime example, anybody that's been with us, even if you just been with us the last 3 months, right? You have, and you probably don't know it because you just with us. You know what I'm saying? You just online with us in this little, metaverse that we created for ourselves. But anybody that's been with us the last 3 months, you have a totally new perspective of what is happening inside a cell. Like, you have a understanding in your mind that 99.999999% of the world does not have. That puts you in the 1% of in terms of intelligence. I wouldn't even say intelligence, but just in terms of understanding what happens inside a cell. You're in a 1%, 1 percentile around the world. You're in a group with the elite in terms of how a cell functions. You know what I'm saying? So having that perspective of understanding, okay, here's Newton's laws, here's quantum mechanics. A cell works by bridging the gap between the two of them. A cell works by bridging the gap between pure energy, which our ancestors would have said is spirit, and matter. And that's what's happening. That's what our cells are doing. Our cells are breaking down matter into pure energy, and at the same time our cells are using pure energy to create matter. Like we are living magic. We're living magic. That's literally what we are. Our cells are breaking energy down. Breaking matter down, right? When you consume a piece of food, that is matter, right? Your body breaks that down all the way into nothingness, all the way to pure energy. That's when we get to electrons, protons, and then we recycle ATP. And when we oxidize the ATP, we're using the energy that comes out of the broken bonds between the phosphate groups, which is light mixed with kinetic energy. And let me let you know, kinetic energy is literally not a thing. It's not a real thing. Yo, but you would have to argue that with like a PhD level, that's a different level of conversation, because there's technically no solid definition on what energy is. There's a functional consensus on what energy is, but energy is like consciousness. You know what I'm saying? There's a working definition of what consciousness is, but it's not like super narrowed down to where you could say, oh, water is made out of 2 hydrogens and an oxygen. They can't. Energy and consciousness are not nailed down in that kind of way. Don't be trolling tonight. Don't be trolling tonight. Yeah, don't troll tonight, because, I inspired Tanai to become a PhD. Tanai used to watch me, and then watching me inspired him to go become a PhD. I think that's the beauty of his takes. You know what I'm saying? He's classically trained, but he started with us and came back to us. So technically he's got his foot on both sides of the fence. But there's really is no opinion of that. There's no opinion to be had about that. That is a fact. We break down matter into pure energy, and we take that pure energy and we turn that into matter, which is the reason why I was emphasizing Krebs cycle is our what is that term again? Non-essential amino acids. Your non-essential amino acids. I got my mind somewhere else. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not in the food. My mind is not on the food, in the food universe right now. Right now, my mind is in quantum space right now. But the process of the Krebs cycle, when we're breaking matter down for energy, on the backside of that process is where we're actually creating the non-essential amino acids. So we're literally on one side breaking matter down into energy. And that process of breaking matter down into energy is how we actually create matter out of energy. That's what makes the body so magical. We're literally flying an airplane that we're building at the same time as we flying it. But I'm just saying, like we've created a thing. Now that I definitely agree with. I definitely agree with that part. We've created a thing where, you know, our our group, people are in the top 1% in terms of understanding. Now we got a bunch of people that just watch for entertainment value. Some of them may buy the books, some of them may not buy the books, some of them will buy the books but not actually read the books, right? That's a whole nother battle, right? I got to fight to get people to buy the books. Then I have to fight to get them to read the books after they purchase them. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate, you know, because those are people primarily that, like, they first of all, they're buying the books to support the movement. And then at the same also, they're buying the books maybe for future space when they have time to get back around to studying, but they know they want to have them. Like, they may not have the time to study as much as they want right now, but they know, like, we had that scare. Like, yo, Ink, yo, the books is gone. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Only by the grace of God and the love of a good woman are the books back. You know what I'm saying? The grace of God and love of a good woman, the books came back. So yeah, but that could be a thing, you know what I'm saying? Any day the books would be gone. So I appreciate the folks that buy the books and don't read them, um, for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Because but everybody's got a different life. We don't know who's who on this internet. You know what I'm saying? Somebody listening to us right now probably selling crack. Somebody else is probably working to save the children in their neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Somebody is working as a pulmonary therapist. Somebody is working for the company Newports. Like, somebody work for Marlboro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got somebody saving lungs and somebody killing them. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got all kind of people that we don't know because we don't get that deep into each other's personal. You know what I'm saying? We don't know who's who. Right? We got vegans, and then we got people that listen that probably work at the slaughterhouse. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just don't know. So everybody's life is different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's lifestyle is different. We might have some folks retired, so they at home. They got plenty of time to get busy with the get busy. You know, so we appreciate everybody's contributions, but at the same time, your return on investment, you know, you just don't realize how much advanced concepts you've been, especially if you thinking about me. Don't think about me, think about you. Yeah. You might not you might never learn the information technically, or be as comfortable with the information, teaching the information as I am. But you might be 10,000 times sharper than the people in your regular everyday life. You may just not be paying attention. You're like 100 million times sharper than the people around you. You know what I'm saying? All right, I got to get back to work though. This was supposed to be like a 1 or 2 minute test. And then I start seeing y'all pop up and start talking y'all to death. And now y'all done went from trolling my man tonight to trolling each other. Okay, yeah, y'all. Joel Santana says Netchers don't need to read. You know what's crazy is I know, well, I ain't gonna say I know, but I knew Joel Santana in real life. I knew Joel Santana in real life. And what I can say to that response is his music is suffering because he doesn't read. His music is suffering because he doesn't read. You know, when rappers forgot they were teachers, that right there could be a whole special. When rappers forgot they were teachers. If you sell your words to the masses, you're a teacher. No matter whether you are attempting to be a teacher on purpose or not, you're a teacher. And even if you're teaching people style, how to dress, how to trap, how to hustle, how to play a sport, how to whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like some portion of the urban culture, you're still teaching. And whatever it is that you're teaching, when you stop studying, your students will become on par with you in that subject. And at that point, they will have just graduated. The point where your students know just as much about the subject matter as you do, they graduated. Period. And they'll move on to find the next teacher. So that's why Joel's is struggling. Joel sounds just as good as he did 10 years ago or 15 years ago, whenever he started. Which you can look at on one hand and say, yo, that's fire. He's still at that same level. But then you sit back and you think about it and you go, oh, okay, yeah. So we're good with all the old hits because he's still just as good as the old. Like, there's no reason to buy the and that's the thing that I'm getting off of here, but that's the thing that set Drake apart. That's the thing that set Drake apart. You know what I'm saying? At least for me, that was the thing that made Drake the GOAT, that made Drake the best, that made me just start listening to him. Forget about GOAT. That's in this climate, it's crazy. But the thing that when he first came out that made me start listening to him is that he was using Drake was using an expanded vocabulary without trying to sound smart. He just sounded like he read. Like he wasn't trying to teach. He wasn't on no fake activist, conscious, none of that. But he just had a expanded vocabulary. So he sounded like a grown-up. It wasn't all 4-letter words and 5-letter words and, sounds where words couldn't fit. It was just actual full words, full vocabulary, and it made sense. Eminem did the same thing, but Eminem was deep in heroin addict, drug addict, pill culture. So I couldn't never really identify with Eminem. I'm not from a trailer park and I don't pop pills. So I never really got deep into Eminem music. You know what I'm saying? But Drake was just like, over the top with regular conversation. So it made sense. I think it becomes difficult to grow with your music when you have children and your music is based on a bunch of things that you don't want your children to take part in. It gets crazy. See, when you 20, 25, and if you have children, your children are 3 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, you can still stay relatively ignorant to what's happening. But once you have teenagers, once you have 15-year-olds or you have 20-year-olds yourself, it gets weird at that point. Especially if you trying to do a show in a club where your kids can pay and be in the same club and you in there doing things that like it gets crazy. You in the club, like what are you doing in the club high looking crazy and your kids right there? Like how you gonna tell them not to be in the club high looking crazy if you in the club high looking crazy or you in the club belligerently drunk? Like so it just don't make sense after a certain point. So as an artist, you got to be able to grow. You know what I'm saying? You're a teacher. You're a teacher. You're teaching. Whether you teaching style, hustling, drug dealing, or Jay-Z, you know, he modified it. Jay-Z started out teaching hustling, but as hustling became cliche for him, you know, because again, you 20, 30 years old. All right, cool. You on the corner. At some point that starts to look crazy. Like you still on the corner, bro. So then it had to become business, and then people can continue to grow up with you. But then at another point, even that's getting old now. So all right, cool. Next level. I'm a family man. I'm getting married. I got my kids. You know what I'm saying? And he dropping the album on that. So people could continue to grow up with you. You can't come out at 40 years old like, yo, I'm about to roll up some piff. Yo, if you 45 years old trying to make an album off of rolling up piff and jumping off, you know, with chicks from the club, like it don't work. It don't work. So it's not that rap is a young man's game. It's just that it's easier for young folks to say ignorant things and still be taken seriously. You know, as you get older, the bar changes, and now you have to change what you're saying. And if you don't read, that's career suicide. If you don't read, that's career suicide. To get as comfortable as I am with the info, you'd have to do what? Stay with it. You have to stay with it. But what you got to do is start teaching it. It's not the studying part. You got to start teaching it. Yeah, that's the thing. Debates and teaching is where you learn. You learn more when you teach than when you study by yourself. In my neighborhood, we had a culture of debating. In New York, period, we had a culture of debates. Like that's a part of the street culture. Just as much as basketball or selling drugs, maybe, or kicking a freestyle, debating and arguing was a part of the street culture. Period. You know, when standing out on the streets got dangerous because of, you know, you could get picked up by police, you can get kidnapped, you could get shot or anything like that. The debates kind of moved from off the street corner into barbershops or into hair salons. And those places then began to be the conversation places because, you know, you could kind of be in there hanging out all day and not have any issues. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no drugs going on in there. Ain't nothing illegal happening. It's just conversation. So people start to hanging out in barbershops and places like that. So now you see 2025 people making little podcasts and all that in barbershops because they're trying to duplicate that vibe from the neighborhood. But before the neighborhood got too crazy with police and with shooting and violence and all those different things, those conversations from the barbershop was just happening outside, because that always been a part of the culture. You know what I'm saying? You know, in certain countries in Africa, a woman or a man, like it's considered romantic. You know what I'm saying? Some places in the Caribbean too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, debating and arguing is always, you know, those are high level. You know, if you go back to early masonry, you learn there's a focus on rhetoric and logic, which translated over to the trivium and quadrivium in Greece. Even today, you know, most of the more serious academic schools, they have debate teams. So debate is always a high thing. It's a high level thing. It's how you develop your mind. You get very fast with, you know, processing information, recognizing patterns, being able to respond. But they took that out of the schools in the neighborhood. They took that out of the schools around the same time as they took music out of the schools back in the 70s. You know, so when they took the debates, the debate teams out of the public school system, when they took the music out of the system, you know, people just went to the streets. You know, debate on the streets. We argue about LeBron and Jordan. We argue about Drake and Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? Because debate is in us. And if it's uncultivated, we'll be debating things that don't really have an intrinsic value. But because humans love to debate, they will put debate TV shows on us to harness that. So Skip and Shannon can make $1 zillion for Fox or whatever, you know, because people want to debate sports, or NBC or Fox can create politics shows because people want to debate politics. And in reality, it's not that people want to debate sports or politics. People just want to debate. Our minds are formulated that way. It's a sport. Like, people want to compete with their minds instead of competing with their legs or their arms. People want to compete with their mind. But that is too much like spiritual empowerment to create a culture based around that. So you allow people to debate, but debate foolishness, so it doesn't really build the mind. You know what I'm saying? You got people debating Kendrick and Drake. If the people that were debating Kendrick and Drake were debating like technical prowess or something, you know, like super heavy, they would be changing the world with that same mental power they put to learning every single Drake and Kendrick lyric. You know what I'm saying? Or every LeBron and Jordan stat. I'd be amazed at how many people know all of these crazy stats from Mike and Braun. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you understand, if you could learn that like that, you could learn, you know what I'm saying, just anything. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so anyway, my bad. To get comfortable with the information, you got to teach it and argue it. You got to teach it and you got to argue it.
This is why you have to go to Amazon and get the book, Rich Abs, Poor Abs, now.